We begin with a breakthrough in the war between the U.S. and Iran. Both sides say a peace deal has been struck to end fighting on all fronts. Donald Trump announced on Truth Social that the deal is now complete. He added, "Congratulations to all," and he says he fully authorizes the toll-free opening of the Strait of Hormuz and simultaneously the immediate removal of the United States naval blockade. He ended the statement with, "Ships of the world, start your engines, let the oil flow." Pakistan's prime minister, who has been acting as a mediator, is also saying a deal between both sides has been reached, although he says it won't be signed today, but on Friday after more mediated talks. He says both sides have agreed to stop fighting on all fronts, including in Lebanon, where Israel and Hezbollah were trading fire just hours ago. Iran has long said it would not agree to a deal with the U.S. unless it included a ceasefire also holding in Lebanon. So far, there's no word from Israel on whether it's agreed to halt its fighting. Go now to CBC's Crystal Gumansing in Jerusalem. Crystal, I know it's quite early in the morning there. Is there any reaction from Israel on this news?
Well, at this point, not yet. To be very frank, that most people here went to bed expecting to be woken up by mobile alerts and sirens. There was a strong indication that there could be Iranian counter strikes following Israeli airstrikes on Lebanon Sunday, which included strikes in the Dahian neighborhood. That's the suburb of Beirut, an area that's known as a Hezbollah stronghold. So reaction to the memorandum of understanding, the agreement that has now been signed between Iran and the United States, hasn't really filtered down just yet. I would be surprised if people here in Israel are overly optimistic or overly happy, considering we have heard from the Pakistani Prime Minister in an ex-post that as a part of this agreement, that all military operations are to cease. That would include Israel's operations in Lebanon. Now, on Sunday, we did hear from far-right minister and national security minister Itamar Ben-Gvir. This was before the announcement of the deal being signed, but it gives you a bit of insight into how some of the ministers in Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition government are thinking, and potentially what we could hear more of. And there was an ex-post from Itamar Ben-Gvir earlier Sunday that said, "Prime Minister, be strong and courageous. Do not fear and do not be dismayed." Now, was that in general speaking to the strong words from U.S. President Donald Trump? Was that an early indication to what could be coming with this deal? We don't know. What we do know is that Israel has been very clear, saying Israel has the right to defend itself and it will continue with operations in Lebanon in order to secure the safety of communities on Israel's northern border. We have to remember, not only have there been airstrikes, but there are ground troops that are in Lebanon. There is what some describe as an occupation, Israel describes as a buffer zone. That buffer zone guarded and stood on by Israel Defense Forces troops goes about 10 kilometers deep from Israel's border. It goes east to west. And then in addition, there are also troops further in Lebanon who are doing ground operations against Hezbollah militants. There has been an ongoing trade of attacks, even during what should be a ceasefire. Hezbollah accuses Israel of violating the ceasefire. Israel accuses Hezbollah of doing exactly the same. And the strikes today, when I say today, I mean, Sunday, were as a result of 3 drones crossing over into Israeli territory, impacting, according to Israel Defense Forces, and that prompted yet another wave of strikes and counterstrikes. It also prompted the U.S. president to be very strong and tell both sides, Hezbollah and Israel, to stand down, telling them that they were potentially going to, quote, blow the deal. And there was also some indication that the relationship is fraying between the United States and Israel, because normally there is a sort of blanket understanding that Israel has the right to defend itself, that it is acting in self-defense against Hezbollah. But on this occasion, when it comes to those drone impacts early Sunday, U.S. President Donald Trump had said that they were very small. He described them as meaningless because there was no injury, no deaths reported, and saying those counterstrikes shouldn't have happened. So there is a frayed relationship currently. There is a lot of stress, a lot of fractures. Will that be further enhanced given this memorandum of understanding that has been signed? We just don't know. But it is highly unlikely the Israeli government or Israelis will be happy being told to cease operations. But also this suggestion that billions of dollars will be freed up in frozen Iranian assets for the regime, that they will also be provided with reconstruction funds, again in the area of billions of dollars. So a lot of details that are still unknown, very, very early hours, especially here in Jerusalem. But it is unlikely there will be widespread good reaction to this deal. Although overall, Israelis have been saying that they don't want any wars, they want everything to calm down. But more than that, they want to ensure their security, especially those communities in the north.
All right, and we'll watch for more reaction as Israel wakes up. Thanks so much for this. CBC's Crystal Gumansing in Jerusalem.